What makes integrative negotiation different? Focus on commonalities rather than differences, address needs and interests, not positions, commit to meeting the needs of all involved parties, exchange information and ideas, invent options for mutual gain, use of objective criteria to set the standards. What are the key steps in the integrative negotiation process? Identify and define the problem, understand the problem fully, identify interests and needs on both sides, generate alternative solutions, evaluate and select among alternatives. What is one way to identify and define the problem? Define the problem in a way that is mutually acceptable to both sides. State the problem with any power, practically and comprehensiveness. State the problem as a goal and identify the obstacles in attaining this goal. Dispersonalize the problem. Separate the problem definition from the search for solutions. Observations on interest. There is almost always more than one. Parties can have different interests at stake, often stem from deeply rooted human needs or values, can change numerous ways to surface interest. Surfacing interest is not always easy or to one's best advantage.
What is the way to generate alternative solutions? First, intervene options by redefining the problem. Set compromise, lock roll, modify the pie, expand the pie, and find a bridge solution. What is the way to evaluate and select alternatives? First, narrow the range of solution options. Evaluate solutions on quality, objective, standards, acceptability. Agree to evaluate criteria in advance. Be willing to justify personal preferences. Be alert to influence and tangibilities and selecting options. Use upgrounds to evaluate complex options. Which factors facilitate successful integrative negotiation? First, some common objectives or goals, faith on one's own problem-solving ability, belief in the validity of one's own position and the other's perspective, the motivation and commitment to work together. What factors facilitate successful integrative negotiation? There are three: trust, clear and accurate communication, and understanding of the dynamics of integrative negotiation.
What is perception? Perception is the process by which individuals connect to their environment. Which is the process of perception? First, you have an stimulus, then you go to an attention, a recognition, and a translation that is the part of the perception, and then the behavior. Which are the four major perceptual errors? Stereotyping, halo effects, selective perception, and projection. What represents frames? Represents the objective mechanism through which people evaluate and make sense out of situations, lead people to purse or avoid subsequent actions, define a person, event, or process, impart meaning and significance. Which are the types of frames? Substantive, outcome, aspiration, process, identity, characterization, loose game. How frames work in negotiation? Negotiation can use more than one frame. Mismatches in frames between parties are sources of conflict. Parties negotiate differently depends on the frame. Which parties are in conflict use one of three frames: interest, rights, and power.
Emotion. Which are the three distinctions characteristics between mood and emotion? Specificity, intensity, and duration. What does negotiations create? Positive and negative emotions. Which are the positive consequences in negotiation that create the positive emotions? They lead the parties toward more in negative process. They create a positive attitude toward the other side, and they promote persistence. Which are the negative consequences in negotiations that create the negative emotions? They may lead the parties to escalate the conflict. They may lead parties to define the situation as competitive or distributive. They may lead parties to relate and may thwart integrative outcomes. To which positive emotions can lead the aspects of negotiation? Positive feelings result from fair procedures during negotiation. Positive feelings result from favorable social comparison. To which negative emotions can lead the aspects of the negotiation? Negative emotions may result from a competitive mindset. Negative emotions may result from an impasse. Negative emotions may result from the prospect of beginning a negotiation. What are the effects of positive and negative emotions? Positive feelings may generate negative outcomes. Negative feelings may elicit beneficial outcomes. As how can be used emotions? They can be used strategically as negotiation gambits.
What is the focus that drives negotiation strategy? Goals. What are the steps of the goals in a negotiation strategy? The first step is to determine the goals and specify objectives clearly. Does setting goals has effects? Has direct and indirect effects on the negotiator strategy. Which are those effects? Direct, which are not goals. Goals are often linked to the other party's goals. There are limits to what goals can be. Effective goals must be concrete or specific. Indirect, forging an ongoing relationship. What is strategy? The overall plan to achieve one's goals in a negotiation. What is tactics? The overall plan to achieve one's goals in a negotiation. What is planning? The action component of the strategy process. What kind of approaches exist to the strategy? Explain them. Unilateral, which is one that is made without active involvement of the other party, and bilateral, which is one that considers the impact of the other's strategy on one's own. What are the active engagement strategies? Competition, distributive win-lose bargaining, collaboration, integrative win-win negotiation, accommodation involves an imbalance of outcomes. I lose, you win. What are the steps to an ideal negotiation? Preparation, relationship building, information gathering, information using, bidding, closing the deal, implementing the agreement. What information do you need to engage effectively the other party? Resources, issues and bargaining mix, interest and needs, walkaway point and alternatives, targets and opening bids, constituents, social structure, and authority to make an agreement, reputation, negotiation style, likely strategy and tactics. What is the most critically important activity in a negotiation? Planning.